What do you got, Coach? 3 things that all coaches need. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of coaches?
New York or the Aces? Definitely going with the Aces.
All right, 4th down. Who has the tougher job, coaches or officials? If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? For Texas, it's different. We are live. Listen, the co-op is cooking on a Friday.
Come on.
The co-op is cooking on a Friday. Listen, thank y'all for plugging in. Welcome to the Coaches Co-op. I am your host. My name is Coach P. And what we're doing here is we're pulling back the curtain to chat with the amazing coaches who are shaping the world of athletics. Man, today I got one of my friends here with me today.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. I've been trying to get this brother on for a long time. So I actually had to hit him. I had to hit him up the other day because I saw he had made an appearance on something. I was like, man, hold up. So he was like, I got you. Let's do it on Friday. So, man, here we are. Y'all, I got a husband. I got a father. I got a great, great man who is the current assistant offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys. He's got a great story to tell, and I'm so glad that he's here on the Coaches Co-op to tell his story. Man, if you're watching or listening, y'all put y'all's hands together for Coach Ramon Chinyoung. Chin, how you doing, baby?
Come on, I'm gonna clap it up myself.
Hey, man, listen. So here's what I want everybody to do. First thing I want y'all to do, man, is I want y'all to go and follow this brother on Twitter. All right. I want y'all to go follow Coach Chinyoung on Twitter. Y'all see it scrolling across the bottom at @Chinyoung, because what I'm telling you is he's a star. Yeah. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of times people hear the word star and they think about the lights and the flash and all of that. Well, there is a lot of light. But I want y'all to know this brother is a star because he is the one who is generating the light.
Yeah.
That's why he's a star. Everywhere he goes, man, he lights up the room. He's got a great smile, great demeanor, great personality. And more important than all of that, man, he's got great character. So, Chin.
Yeah.
You're now, man, an assistant offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys. But a lot of people don't know that you got your starting coaching as a volunteer coach on the high school level. So I'm just going to clear everything out of the way, man. And I want to make way for you to tell your story. Go ahead, brother. Testify.
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, man, I appreciate you having me on, brother. I appreciate you, Mike. The platform that you've created, man, is such a blessing and a great opportunity for not only myself to be able to tell my story and get that out there, but, man, just other coaches to be able to share and to gather information to help inspire their current situations, man. So I definitely appreciate you for that, man. But, man, you brought it back. You're taking me back now. Man, that brings me back, man. So, you know how it was.
Wait, before you start.
Okay.
This young man did not know me, but I knew him. Okay. I knew who he was. We going that far back. Okay.
Yeah.
I moved to the greater Houston area back in like 2000. And one of the things that I love sports, y'all know this is why we got the co-op here. Okay. Yeah. So I always kept tabs on, the local high schools. This young brother was at one of the local high schools. Okay. Ramon Chinyoung, all-state football player, this all-state lineman. Then he signs the letter of intent to go and play football at our alma mater, the Southern University an agricultural and mechanical college. So I continue to follow him there. Then
come on,
he joins the Beta Sigma chapter of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We
yes,
are
sir.
in the same chapter. So I had been following this brother in high school through college. He joins the fraternity. He comes back home.
Yeah.
And he comes over to the house and you know, we have Bible study and stuff like that. He
About
thought
to
I
say,
was inviting him over for some other stuff.
yeah, yeah. Make sure you
But
bring that.
you know, so man, when I tell you a friend, this man is definitely my friend, because
Yeah,
everybody can't come in the house.
yeah,
People
yeah,
can come to the house, but everybody
yeah,
can't come in the house. And this brother
yeah,
has been in my house. So I wanted to just share that first
yeah.
before you got into your part of your story. Go ahead, Chin.
Come on, man. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And to build off of that, being a young man, you know, having a great college experience, you know, doing great things in college, and then having an opportunity to become a part of, you know, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and to leave and to graduate. You know, there was a lot of great opportunities ahead of me, but at the end of the day, being a young man, you're kind of like, what's next? And I remember the first time you and I reached out and we connected, and you did invite me over to the house and to the crib, man. And I was so appreciative at that time, because I was in my personal walk and seek and journey of trying to find my relationship with God. And so even before we talk about, you know, football and that journey, and how that went, I'm so appreciative, just to share with you how much I'm thankful for you to be able to pour into me as a young man, even though we didn't cross paths, even though, of course, you did know me before I knew you. That's a whole
Yeah,
nother story.
yeah.
But man, I was so appreciative of that, because I do understand as a man now how sacred the home is. I do understand as a man how important it is to protect your loved ones, your wife, your children, and for you to welcome me in with open arms, and then consistently talk about the good Lord, and spread the good word. I'm so appreciative of that, man, and I believe that's what was one of the things that helped carry me into the path of starting off as a volunteer coach, you know, because as a young man, the first thing you're thinking about when you graduate is, how can I make money, right? How can I earn an
Right,
income? What do I need
right.
to do to get that paper, right? And it was a humbling experience for me, because I had to realize, in order for me to move forward, I had to humble myself and be a servant in that moment. And man, it just takes me back, man. I'm so appreciative of that word and that fellowship of you and I, because those moments help build the foundation to where you can go do something, although you may not like it at that time, right? I'm working for free. Mike, if you want to take it all the way back, I graduated college, all right? I tried to go to the National Football League as a player. Didn't work out. It's not what God had for me. My agent at that time sent me to the UFL, which was the United Football League.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
Connecticut, I went out to the Hartford Colonials. That at the time the league folded, it picked back up. I then got sent to the Sacramento Mountain Lions, which was still the UFL. It folded again. Found myself trying to go after football and arena football, and I said, man, I just don't know if this is truly what's for me. Like, I feel like there's something greater. And so I went back home, moved in with mama again, and you know how humbling that is. It's like starting
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
knocking on that door, like, hey, mama, do you mind? And of course, with open arms, I'm welcomed in, but still it's something inside of you like, man, I'm moving back in with mama. But during that time, it was a time of molding. And man, Mike, I remember, man, not having a vehicle at that time. My college sweetheart, Morgan, who was still at Southern, she graduated a year after me. So that was my only transportation at school. So I literally, Mike, I was running at least 3.5 to 4 miles every day with a backpack on my back to get to Westfield High School, to get to work, just to volunteer, just in the hope of, can I one day get a job? Can I one day do this? Um,
Man.
yeah, yeah. You bringing me back. You bringing me back. I forgot all about that. You talk
How
about,
bad do you want it?
man. Look, you can't preach it and not be about it. You know,
You
you
know what I'm
can't.
talking about?
You know, you have to walk that walk, and that's what I was doing, man. And I remember days running. You know how hot Houston can be. I remember those days running, asking myself, man, Lord, is this what I should be doing? I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
hurting. And but I tell you what, Mike, I'll never forget, man, the first opportunity that I had to speak to the young men at my high school, my alma mater, Westfield High School. And it was my first time having an opportunity to kind of pour into them and really tell them my story from a football aspect, not from a professionalism man aspect that we're talking now, manhood, like mindset, but from a football aspect. And I just remember pouring into them. And as I'm talking to these young men, I can see something clicking for them. And in that moment, as they're processing the information that I'm giving them, I'm also processing, Lord, is this what I should be doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this what I should be doing? Should I find some way, somehow to pour into young people? And that's where it started. You know, that's where the urge started as far as, okay, well, how do I do that? Okay, volunteer, long-term
Yeah.
sub, right? Long-term sub, just get in the classroom, get a feel for it. You know, then the next step, become a paraprofessional. Okay, now you're a certified paraprofessional, not teacher yet, so there's some limitations to what you can do, but at least you're in the atmosphere to be able to learn and grow. And during that first year of volunteering, man, it was challenging because you talk about balance as far as wanting to accomplish some things at a young age. Again, I wanted to make money, like many young men and many young women. You want to get paid for your time; it's valuable. And then also, Mike, at that time, my college sweetheart and I, we had our little one on the way. We had our oldest son, RJ, who's Ramon Chinyoung II. He was on the way. He was born in 2012, and this is in 2011. So I'm registering, as you can say, all this pressure at one point in time to say, man, I've got to make it work. Like, I've got to find ways to become successful. And this is all I've got, you know. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just appreciative that it paid off as far as putting in the time, you know, washing the clothes, filling the players' lockers, waiting at the bus stop until the last guy got on the bus, and then I'm able to take my journey back, not drive home, take my journey back home, you know. And yeah, exactly, get to hiking. And but it paid off, and I'll never forget that first year of actually becoming a certified teacher. I got a certification in special education. And I was a co-teacher, which ultimately is an assistant to the teacher in the classroom.
Right.
Which now I'm an assistant coach to a great coach in the classroom, which is, you know, is just how life, just like life happens in circles, life happens in rhythm. And at that time I was so appreciative because my youngest was born in July. The start of the season was August. So I had just passed on time, just had an opportunity to become fully certified, and everything was moving in the right direction, man. And years later, just from that moment, years later, man, found myself as a assistant offensive line coach to the O-line coach there. And what I'm sure we'll dive into that and how that happened. And high school head coach, and now in the National Football League, man. And it all started with the humble mindset, being willing to serve, which I still do now. I'm still a servant leader, my brother.
I have learned so much from you. True story. I've learned so much from you, and probably the best thing, or the biggest thing that I've learned from you, man, is just about serving.
Yeah.
Because I watched you. So, man, we have had a lot of conversations
Mm-hmm.
about the process, you know, about our
Yeah.
lives and the
Yeah.
things that we want out of our lives, and
Yeah.
the steps that we take to get there.
Yeah.
But what I love most about you, man, is you walk the walk.
Yeah.
You walk the walk, man. You are a servant at heart. I
Yeah.
mean, it is evident in everything that you do, man.
Yeah.
you know, and honestly, there is not jealous envy, but when I see you, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I that's a great example for me to follow,
Yeah.
you know. So you said this, life happens in rhythm.
Yeah.
That what people don't understand. And so let's go back to like the days of Bible study, right? So
Yeah.
just for a second, the thing that I've learned is we, and I'm just saying, I'm using we, I'm generalizing, okay? I'm
Okay.
generalizing.
Okay.
We think worship happens on Sunday.
Right.
But I learned over the years, my older brother taught me this, that the root word for work and worship are the same.
Mm.
So we actually worship through our work.
Mm.
So when you say that life happens in rhythm, and you alluded to, I was an assistant there and I'm an assistant here. So the
Yep.
preparation that I got there
Yep.
was, we may not know it at the time, but what
Right.
God was preparing back then
Yes.
is for where I am now.
Come
And
on.
man, and you take all of that and you combine that with your servant's heart. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised that you are where you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a shock at all. So,
Yeah.
um, had you ever thought about coaching like ever before, like during your playing days?
No, no. It's funny. My oldest, my oldest cousin Ian, his name is Ian Dunson. We're 2 months apart, and we're like brothers. Grew up hand to hand, and he reminded me of a story years ago because he asked me a question. He was like, "Hey man, when you're done playing ball, would you ever coach?" And I'm like, "Man, I'll never coach." And he was like, "I think you'd be a good coach." And I said, "Well, maybe one day I'll try it out. You know, maybe one day, maybe when I retire from the National Football League with all these great years of being a dominant offensive lineman, yeah, maybe I'll try it then." And he made me laugh because the day I accepted the job to go to the Denver Broncos, and we'll get there, he called me. He was like, "Hey man, remember that time I asked you, did you want to coach, and you really said, you really want to looking forward to it. Now look at
Yeah.
you." And but no, I didn't, brother. Like many other college athletes, man, I was just so embedded, so thoroughly immersed in the sport and the position that I was in, and I just wanted to be a ball player. I just wanted to. Um, at the time, I believe the gifts that God gave me was just the energy, the positivity, but also just the tenacity on the football field, and I wanted to use that to the best of my ability, not realizing it was not for me, but it was to pour in to others. But no, I didn't, not at the time.
That's good, man. I want you to, so your why, of course, is to make your family proud, right?
Yes.
Um, talk about the legacy that
Yeah.
you're building.
Yeah. Mm. Man, that takes me back to my upbringing, right? So, single parent home, only child. My mother and father got a divorce when I was 4 years old, and so naturally, as a young man, Mike, and I mean young, I'm not talking teens. I'm talking as a young boy. I battle with asking the question, why? Like, why am I not like every other child that I see, right? My friends that have both parents at home. Why me? Why do I not have that father that I have a chance to come to that can comfort me and things of that nature? And man, I struggled with that early on. Ultimately, that's how I got into football, Mike. I was never a troublemaker, but I had a lot of energy as a young man. And mama said, "Hey, we got to find you something." We tried soccer, we tried basketball. You was too rough for it. You was tackling folks. Okay, you can't rebound and go to the ground, and that's what I was doing. I was grabbing boards and hitting the ground. It's not
Mhm.
acceptable. You know that as a great coach, and um, and so ultimately that's how I found football. And through the game of football and through the game of or other sports for other athletes, you find those father-like or mother-like figures within that sport. And that's what I did. I found that father-like figure within the sport, but it was still a void, right? It's still a void at the end of the day. Ultimately, I'm thankful with my relationship with God because I understand now as a man that he fills that void. But for me, Mike, my legacy is to ensure that my boys, right, my oldest RJ and my youngest Miles, they have a father that they can be proud of, right? They have a father that they can look to for encouragement, for guidance, for troubleshooting. You know, they have a father that can hold them accountable, a father that I didn't have to hold me accountable and to guide me in certain situations, but also, man, they have a father that's going to be proud of them. And so for me, my legacy is to try to go as far as the good Lord will take me so that they can go even further. That's my mindset. Because ultimately I was missing.
Listen, before I say this, Lano said, "What's up?"
Come on, bro. What's up,
Yeah,
Lano?
yeah. Lano just sent me a text. Dog said, "What's up, man?"
What's up?
Listen, so people will see this and watch this, and the people who don't know you as they're getting to know you, I don't know any other way to say this other than it's genuine.
Yeah.
It may sound like, oh, this guy's a coach. He's talking, that's how coaches talk. Man, this is genuine.
Yeah.
This is 100% genuine. I have had, man, we've had hundreds of conversations.
Hundreds.
And this is genuine.
Yeah.
Man, this is so genuine. Listen, I gotta put this up on here, man. Gotta put that up on there, man. We got one of Southern University's finest in the co-op today. One of Southern University's finest.
Yeah.
All right, Chin. So we go from long-term sub.
Yep.
To paraprofessional.
Yep.
Volunteer coaching all of this time. Then you become a certified teacher, and then you're now on staff at Westfield High School. Y'all, I used to go over. Now I taught at the I can't even say we were the rival high school because they used to just pummel us. They used to just beat us every year. A good year for us.
We were rivals.
Because we were in the same district and our kids grew up together. Okay. That's why we were rivals.
That's why we were rivals.
But truth be told, a good year for us. Most years, man, at the end, we had some pretty bang up football teams. But for most years, man, a good year for us was beating Westfield, and a good year for Westfield was getting to the playing into December. That's what their standard was.
100%.
But I used to go over there to Westfield, right? Here's this guy from Spring, the girls basketball coach at Spring, coming over here into the coach's office at Westfield. I used to go over there to chop it up with you because we, again, we're talking about the process. So talk about the process going, from Westfield and then seeking out to become, a head coach at the high school level. And then from there, man, just tell us how that ended up being the Denver Broncos and now the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. First thing that comes to mind is never forget that the relationship that you have with people can impact you and impact them in a positive way. And you never know when.
Say that one more time. I need you to say that one more time.
Never forget that the relationship that you have with people can impact you and impact them in a positive way. And you never know when and how that may happen. And so I'm going to talk about my coaching journey. But first, I have to make sure that I pay homage to Coach Chris Morgan. Coach Chris Morgan was my offensive line coach when I was in high school. Okay. Now, I had no clue about his journey. I had no clue about the great things that he may have done in his past and previously before he came to Westfield. All I knew was this is our new O-line coach. And being the young man who I was bought into the system. Coached me for 2-3 years, poured into me. Only thing that he would ever ask, and I'm talking, this is back when coaching was still hard.
When coaching was coaching.
Mike, I'm talking coaching was coaching. The only thing he would ever ask me is, hey, Chin, how's your mama? I tell her, hey, mom's doing good. All right, boom. Now let's get back to work. That was really the only coaching, you know what I'm saying, dialogue that we had outside of getting after it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he is the foundation of the bridge that was built for me, although I had no idea that it was being built. And so I want to make sure I laid that foundation first so that we can understand the whole story. And so, so year one, assistant offensive line coach, I've got a great leader within an offensive line coach leading me. His name is Justin Outen. Previously to him and I uniting, he was Coach Chris Morgan's assistant offensive line coach for 6+ years before Chris Morgan made that jump himself to the National Football League. And so Justin and I become close. Why? Because we have the same goal. We're going to push kids to the best of our abilities. We're going to push them as far as they think they can go and then even further, but we're going to love up on them afterwards, right? And so because we had that same common goal, you know, we were locked in, right? We're locked in. And man, he taught me everything that I know from a coaching perspective up until that point and poured into me. And he and I just made a great team to where we put a really good product on the field. And during this time, we're maybe like 3-4 years in, Mike, and we're coaching, and I'm asking myself, okay, maybe I can do this, right? And I'm gonna make a point about this. Maybe I can do this. Do what? Maybe I can one day be offensive line coach too, like the guy. I'm an assistant line coach, but I want to be the guy. I have some ideas, right? There's some things that we do. 90% of it, I agree with it wholeheartedly. 10%, there's always going to be that gray area where it's like, well, we should try this, but because I'm following your leadership, your way is the best way. That's just a part of humbling yourself as a servant. Nobody's going to agree 100%. That's a part of life, right? You don't go home and agree 100% with the missus all the time. But although, as long as y'all on the same page, that's all that matters. That's a different story for a different time. But you know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yes, sir.
So I truly believe when I started to put pen to paper, right? When I started to write that vision down and make it clear in my mind of if the day ever came, how would I be prepared to take that step? Mike, when I did that, a year later, I'll never forget, Justin brought me into the offensive line room and he said, "Hey, Chin, I got something to tell you." I'm like, "What's going on, Coach?" Now, again, we're guys, you know, we didn't been to each other's weddings. I mean, we're top golf. You know how it is. I mean, spend ample amount of time with each other. I know everything that he has going on. He knows everything that I have going on because of the time spent, because of the investment within the student athletes that we're coaching. You have to spend that much time, and so he that. And I'm like, you know, what's going on? Like, you know, what's up, Coach? And he says, I got an opportunity. I can't speak about it, but I've got an opportunity, and trust me. And I'm like, okay, all right. And so within that time, Mike, we're transitioning to a spring, okay. And during that spring, he's putting me in an uncomfortable situation. I'm leading all the drills, right? I'm leading the meeting as if I'm the guy. Now, in my mind, he's preparing me to one day be successful. Why? Because all leaders do that. They prepare their assistant coaches to go one day lead themselves. If you're a great, you know, position coach, coordinator, head coach, that's just a part of it. And so he's preparing me. And so in my mind, he's molding me to because maybe he understands that something, you know, something inside, I want to lead one day. And so we get maybe midway through the spring and all the players get pulled up. I'll never forget this day. All the players get pulled up. Corby Meekins was still the head coach at the time. And he calls all the guys up. And, you know, it's the end of practice, you know, the normal ending procedure. Hey, guys, great day. You know, we need to do X, Y, and Z better. Here's the activity bus, et cetera, et cetera. But I got one more announcement. And he calls Justin up. He says, Justin has something to share with you all. And so me, like all the student athletes, I'm sitting there like, what's going on? What are we sharing? And he says, hey, fellas, Man, so appreciative to be here. I'm so thankful to have had an opportunity to pour into each and every one of you. And now you know this, Mike, like I know this. When a grown person starts to have a conversation like that, change is about to happen. Something's going on. You're not setting us up like that for a reason or for
That's
no
right.
reason.
That's right.
And so I'm wondering, something's about to happen. And he says, I've got an opportunity to go to the National Football League. And I'll never forget this. And I'm thinking, wow, like, how did this happen? How did this happen? And then it dawned on me, Coach Morgan. See, Coach Morgan and Coach Justin have spent so many years of building and pouring into student athletes that Coach Morgan built a relationship with him to say, you know what? I trust who this person is. I trust his professionalism, and I trust his work ethic enough to give him an opportunity. And within that change, within that, Justin left, right, to go work for Chris Morgan, and he has a great, amazing story. Justin Allen, he's the tight ends coach for the Tennessee Titans. Coach Chris Morgan is the O-line coach for the Chicago Bears, and if you ever get a chance, they both got great stories. But Justin leaves, and now I become the O-line coach at Westfield High School. And so the National Football League, I will say this, Mike, that's not even on my mind. Like, that was on my mind to accomplish it as a player. But what they've done, in my mind, that's rare, right? That was rare. Now, Justin, previously, he was a GA at Syracuse before he got to Westfield High School. And so in my mind, you know, he had some college experience. He had dominant high school experience. That was in the works for him, right? A great man like he is, it was going to happen for him eventually. So it's you know, through one ear and out the other. I'm moving forward. Here we
Yeah.
go. O-line coach at Westfield High School. And so 4 years in, pouring into the young men, right? Building relationships within the classroom to help them achieve not only success on the field, but off the field as well, to where they can understand the importance of the expectation for them to be successful in the classroom, right? The study habits, the being locked in and engaging in class. You know all these things as a teacher.
Yeah.
And I found myself saying, okay, I love my platform and I love what God has given me, but I feel like I can reach more. And so what I started to do, Mike, I started to put pen to paper, and I said, if I ever had a chance to be a head football coach, this is what I would do and how I would do it. And I later became the assistant head coach at Westfield High School, and those opportunities presented themselves for me. And like many other coaches, I went on 2 different interviews, and they didn't work out. It's not what God had for me. And I never forget, there was an assistant coach that I was working with during the playoffs at Westfield that turned towards me and said, hey, Chin, there's a job that may come open. It's a small school. It's called WILLOW High School, but you may want to check it out. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm in the playoffs. I'm not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
I believe this year we lost. I want to say it was the game before the state championship or the game prior. I remember it was Denton Geyer. So I know they went on to play this in the state championship. So it was either or. And I said, you know what? I talked to my wife, and she was on board. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna give it a try. And so I did some research on WILLOW High School. And in my mind, Mike, I'm thinking, this is Southern University all over again, right? Economically disadvantaged campus, right? Minority population was African American. I mean, it's a bunch of young men and young women who look like me, who needed structure and guidance so they can go do great things like they did in the past. Because Willow Ridge, I'm not sure if you know this, but is a dominant high school in the 80s and early 90s, right? The name that
That's
comes to
right.
mind, Thurman
Thurman
Thomas.
Thomas. Thurman Thomas.
And so just like going to an HBCU who was very dominant in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, in my mindset, I've got an opportunity to bring that dominance back, right? And so go on the interview and pour my heart out. You know how it is. Give your vision. How can you help them, both, you know, male and female athletics? How can you get the community involved? What's your academic plan? So on and so forth. And I really spent a lot of time with my mentors, with the people that I fully entrusted, yourself as well, to create the best vision and plan to have an opportunity to go implement this at Willow Ridge High School. And ultimately, God granted that opportunity. It was a blessing. It just so happened, Mike, that it was the heart of COVID. I'll never forget, brother. The day I got the job was during spring break, which was during the time COVID had just hit, and schools were debating what's it going to look like when we come out of spring break, right? Are we going to be 100% online and virtual? Are we going to give the students the opportunity to go, 50-50? You remember that time. And
oh yeah.
we all, those who are listening, we all remember that time. And I'll never forget, school started, right? Spring break ended, school started, and we're 100% virtual. And I'm in the classroom, I'm in my office, excuse me. And I'm thinking, what do I do? Like, there's no students on campus. And I'll never forget. So I got a phone call. It's Chris Morgan, my high school line coach. And he's like, hey, Chin, I was thinking about you. I want to tell you I'm proud of you. I'm like, Coach, I appreciate you. I'm proud of you too. You coaching in the league, right? Again, he was my high school line coach. I'm like, I'm proud of you too. He's like, no, man. He said, I always wanted to be a high school head football coach, and it never happened for me. But it happened for you. And I want you to know that speaks volumes, right? I'm so happy for you. I know this may be a challenging time because I'm sure y'all may not be up and running here in the National Football League, all virtual. And he hit me with this nugget, Mike. He said, I'm going to tell you this. He said, win the wait. I'm going to repeat that. He said, win the wait. And I said, all right,
WAIT.
Yeah. Win the wait. And I said, not wait. Now, the brother trying to get in shape now. I'm trying to win this weight too, but that's a different story. And I said, okay, Coach. I got off the phone with him, and I sat down and I processed, like, what did he mean by that? And so I went into that devotional, motivational speaking mindset. I said, if I was given this topic, how can I flip this topic? What does that mean, win the weight? And I thought about it. What he was telling me was during this time, everybody's staying still. Right? Everybody is waiting to figure out what's going to happen next. And while they're waiting, right, that's my opportunity to go work, right, and to close the distance and to close the gap. So I've got to find a way to win the weight. So let me tell you what I did, Mike. Man, I haven't talked about this in a while. I went gloves. We call it boots to the ground, right? Strap my boots up.
Yeah.
Okay. Strap my boots up, had gloves on, had printed out a bunch of pamphlets as far as my vision, my mission, my goals for the student athletes that I was going to have a chance to pour in. I contacted administration. I got every address that I can find, and I went and knocked on doors manually. House to house, home to home, mask on, knocked on doors, step back. Now, I'm in the hood now. Don't get it twisted, Mike. I'm not from the South Side. All right, so I'm in the hood. And had to basically go from door to door, speak to mothers, fathers, and the students, and just introduce myself, because at this time, they don't even know who I am outside of a picture, right? I had to go introduce myself to them and say, hey, my name is Ramon Chinyoung, Sr., and I hope to one day have the opportunity to pour into your child. I'm going to pour into them. I'm going to coach them to the best of my ability, and I can promise you this. If you allow them to play sports, whenever that comes back, I can promise you academically they're going to be more successful, and athletically they're going to give it everything they have. And I promise you that. And I'm handing pamphlets out door to door, brother, door to door, in hopes that if administration allows athletics to happen again, here we go. Like, that's my welcome to coaching.
Man, listen.
Come on.
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody who did that. And off the top of my head, I don't know anybody who would do that.
Yeah, it was dangerous.
I'm just gonna keep it real with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Just the, I mean, minus let's not even put the danger part in the equation.
Yeah.
Let's just put the boots on the ground part.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get all these addresses. Let's
Yep.
go door to door.
Yep.
Knocking on the doors. Hey, how y'all doing?
How you doing?
Man, come on.
Hey,
So if y'all didn't believe earlier when I was
Yeah.
telling y'all
Yeah.
about genuine, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more genuine it can get than that. Coach, I'm gonna let you jump back in, but let me do this. Listen, y'all, if you are watching on YouTube, I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit that subscribe button. I need you to click on that little bell so you get notifications so that you can plug in with us every time we got an episode. Or if you're gonna listen to this later, that means you're listening to it right now. If you're listening on Apple, I need you to go ahead and give us those 5 stars. Then go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. And then I need you to tell a friend to tell a friend. You are watching and listening to the Coaches Co-op. My name is Michael Prejean. Most people know me as Coach P. I got my guy on here, my friend, assistant offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Ramon Chinyoung. If you just catching up now, I need you to go on and scrub back, start at the beginning, and then catch up with us later. All right, Chin.
Yeah.
Door to door in Willow Ridge.
Yeah. Door to door. So look, I never forget. So everything's moving. Everything's moving. I'm getting phone calls. I'm sending emails, and we end up being right. We end up going virtual, and it's summertime, right? So like during the time from the end of spring to summer, I may have seen 12 kids, right? 12 kids on campus 3 times max. And so during the summer, same mindset, repeat the process. Now, luckily during this time, Mike, we had great leadership in Fort Bend ISD. A lady by the name of Dina Scott. She's the athletic director out there. She is a great, great leader. That was transitioning to her first year, becoming the head athletic director. She was the assistant athletic director at the time. And we created a really good, safe plan for the students to be able to come back and go through summer strength and conditioning, right? And so I've heard stories, okay? Normally during strength and conditioning, hey, there'll be 10 kids. There may be 20. At max, there's 25. Mike, when I tell you how good God is, Mike, I looked up, there was over 100 kids at strength and conditioning. Now, this may have been because of COVID, and right, they was stuck in the house and bunched up, and
Gotta
we
get
got
out
to
the
do
house.
something. Hey, but the good Lord knows everything happens on time, and it's always on His time. And because of that, we had great attendance. And because of the great attendance, myself and the coaches that I had an opportunity to hire, you know, one of them, Coach Javin Milton, a great brother who's coaching at Klein College High School, we had an opportunity to pour into him like never before. And I'm going to tell you this, Mike, I was so locked in to being the best head football coach that I can be with the platform that I was given. Again, the National Football League, that thought was 10 years ago, brother. 10 years ago. I'm way past that. And I will say the first year, it was a struggle, right? Not struggle because of the student athletes. The student athletes were great. It was just a struggle of, I will say this, Mike, anytime that who you are as a person, when the climate and the environment is not used to that, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And
Yes.
being uncomfortable is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that because within uncomfort is growth, right? There's no time that you or I as an individual, right, was not in an uncomfortable situation and didn't grow out of it. You learned some type of lesson. You grew stronger, whatever that may have been. Well, I truly believe my presence at Willow Ridge High School was to provide positive discomfort for others to realize how important the success is for student athletes to be successful. And so during my time, Mike, we had our ups and downs, but I tell you what, it was an amazing time. And it was an amazing story. And I'm so appreciative to have people that I worked with, like Coach Milton, like a young Coach Herrera, like a Coach Cazelas, guys who I worked with who, like when I was in a serving position, had the same mindset. Man, let's go help these people. Not only the kids, but let's go help the community. Let's do activities outside the walls of Willow Ridge to impact and inspire more. Right, going to the Little League football games. I'll never forget the Little League football game that I had a chance to speak to was the same one that my son ended up playing for before we left Texas, right? Because we were thoroughly immersed within the community.
Yeah.
And man, Mike, I will say this. So often when you feel like you've got a plan and when you feel like you have everything in order, God always has a bigger and better plan. And my first year was great. We went 7-3. We got knocked out the playoffs, that very first round, but it was great for us to experience that success. My second year was challenging, man. It was tough. And I will say it was tough on me, but it was more tough on my family. And let me tell you why, Mike.
Go ahead.
A lot of people don't realize this, and you do because you are currently a high school head coach, excuse me. And so you understand the support system that you have with the family, but you also understand the high expectations that the community may have for you and for your student athletes sometimes weighs on you and your family. And I'll never forget, we were in a game and of course we were unsuccessful and, students went home and finally got, excuse me, let me back up. We were unsuccessful, broke the students up on the field. We're getting ready to load the bus. I see my wife. I give her a hug because win or lose, she's always got my back. And she's upset. She's upset and she's hurting. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she tells me about, I'll never forget this, Mike. She tells me about an altercation that she had with a parent in the stands. And it's funny because it happens often, even in the National Football League. And it's where a parent is saying, hey, they should fire this head coach. They should fire it. This guy he ain't getting it done, right? We want better. Yeah, my student is passing. Yeah, the academic rate and success rate has gone up. Yeah, the behavior issues have gone down. My student is no longer getting in trouble. But because we're not winning on the football field, he ain't good enough. And I'll never forget my wife telling me how she got into this altercation that was started by a parent and how she was so uncomfortable in the conversation because she realized as a head coach as well, she's a head volleyball coach at this time, that so often, sometimes people just don't want you to be successful, right? They just want it their way and however that may be. And if you're not a part of that, they lose sight of that you have a family. They lose sight of the time that you've invested and spent for their children. And that bothering her, Mike, it bothered me, man. And going back to it, it was just an uncomfortable season. I love my job and I love the student athletes that I was pouring into. But so often, and you've experienced this, man, we were just underappreciated. And so I would tell you this. At that time, man, I prayed because you got to always have these conversations with God, and you got to always be able to go to the ultimate comforter, right? And so I went to where I can find my strength and my comfort. And I asked God, I said, God, if this is for me, I ask for you to keep us here and allow us to continue to work through this. But at the same time, if this isn't for me, I ask that you can allow us to move to a larger platform so that I can glorify your name. Now, understand this, Mike. I'm thinking larger platform like a 6A football team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking about 6A football. Like, when I say a larger platform, I'm thinking about something in Aldine or something in Spring or something in Pearland. Like, that was my prayer. And
that was the larger platform.
that was the larger platform. And I tell people
in your mind,
in my mind, and I tell folks the lesson I learned from that and we'll talk about the jump. But a lesson I learned from that is when you pray to God and when you have those conversations, don't limit him, right? And I feel like when I removed those restraints from being too specific to saying a larger platform to glorify your name, that's when I got a phone call. I'll never forget, Mike. It's the spring, right? It's the spring of my second year as a head football coach. And I'm taking a young man to Blinn Community College, right? His grades have been bad for years. We finally got him up to where he can get into college. It's a heart fulfilling moment to be able to drive him to this campus, to be able to get him enrolled into the school, and for him to be a walk-on this campus. I'll never forget. It was a joyful moment for me. And I just called my wife, told her, hey, I just got here. The young man is excited. He's sitting in the lobby with the other players. And I'm on the phone with my wife, and I say, hold on, babe, I just got a text message. Let me call you back. And it's from my guy, Justin. And Justin texts me, and he says, hey, if you're free, call me. Now, I will tell you this. In the National Football League, Mike, man, your time, you remember this statement, your time is not your own, right?
That's
Your
right.
time
That's
is not
right.
your own, right? And the time, the demands of this lifestyle is like no other, man, because we are 365, 24/8 May. And so when he hit me up out the blue, I haven't spoken to him in a few years outside of, maybe a text here and there. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Mike, immediately my heart dropped and something just came over me as if I knew what the conversation was gonna be about, even though he and I haven't spoken for over a year or two. And I called him and I said, what's going on, brother? What's up? And he said, hey, man, what you up to? And I said, I gave him, hey, I'm taking a young man. We're at Blinn Community College right now. He's in there with the players. He's getting ready to get the tour. And he says, I got an opportunity for you, but it's going to take change and it's going to take sacrifice. Are you willing to do it? And I said, let me tell you something, brother. And I call him J.O. That's my guy, man. We're family. And I said, let me tell you something, man. If the opportunity presents itself, I'm all in. And we got off that phone, Mike. I went on the tour with the young man, right? But at the same time, I'm processing now. I called my wife. I'm like, babe, thumbs up. I get home. I call him. Long story short, he, at that time, just accepted the offensive coordinator job with the Denver Broncos. And the relationship that he and I had built, right, through pouring into young student athletes, who knew that it would provide me an opportunity to go to the National Football League. Now, I get there. I go through the interview process. I'm nervous. First of all, Mike, I'm in this building, Mike, like, I don't even know how I got here, but God, right? And I interview and I get the opportunity. Coaches out there, you know how it is. You go through the interview process and it's a Q&A at the beginning, and then you sit in front of the staff and you talk X's and O's. I'm talking now when I get on the board, I'm talking high school football X's and O's because this is all I know. I'm talking power, right? Knock them down, kick them out. I'm talking power. And I'll never forget, I went through all the different things that they had for us, and they had a few different, and I say for us because there were other gentlemen that were there on the interview, and they had different obstacles for us to work through. And I'll never forget when I finished, Mike, I had given it my all. I had poured everything into that interview process with the understanding that if this is what God had for me, like I was gonna go get it. I'm going to go get it, Mike. I'm getting it. I'm not going home without being able to look my wife and my children. Now, I say children because I just had my youngest 3 months ago. My wife did. She had him. But we just had our youngest 3 months ago. He was born on November 17th. All right, 2021. A great day. A great day. And I'm not going home without telling them we've got this. Not even thinking about the sacrifices and the uprooting that it's going to take, but just the opportunity to, again, I prayed to be able to glorify God's name on a larger platform. And I'm going to go do this. And Mike, when I tell you, a few hours later, I got called in, had the opportunity to sit down with Coach Nathaniel Hackett, who was a great head coach. It didn't work out for us, but I tell you what, this person was, Coach Hackett was a great man, great leader, great motivational speaker, great visionary person. And I owe him everything because he gave me my first opportunity. But I sat down with him, Mike. He told me they were going to offer me. Of course, I'm straight-faced. Yes, sir. Thankful for the opportunity, sir. Mike, when I walked into the nearest office that I can find, man, I broke down, brother. I broke down. I'm going to try not to be emotional talking about it, man. I broke down because in that moment, I just realized, man, like how good God is. To be here in this moment. I haven't even shared it with my family yet. I just had to take it all in and say, God, why me? Like, what did I do to deserve and to earn this? And I learned through time, Mike, that's just grace. That's grace and mercy, brother. Sometimes you don't do anything to deserve God. Hey, God's grace and his mercy is ultimately just his plan for you in your life. And man, Mike, I came home. Immediately went to the local high school, to Willow High School, broke the news to the principal. Of course, folks weren't happy, but this was a great opportunity for me and my family. Broke the news to the players. Let me tell you a story. What happened? Hold on. While I'm breaking the news to the players, this is funny, man. God is funny, man. While I'm breaking the news to the players, Mike, a lot of people don't know this. At that time, there was a man by the name of Matt Farmer, who was my high school assistant O-line coach. He was Coach Chris Morgan's assistant O-line coach. He had got out of the business of coaching and he got into the business of doing insurance. You know how a lot of coaches are doing that now, right? They're going into, I believe he got into New York Life. He got into New York Life and he got into the business of insurance. And so he had reached out to me weeks ago and said, hey, man, if I ever got an opportunity to speak to your coaches, do you mind if I come talk to him about insurance? I'm like, of course, coach, go ahead. He just so happened to be in the building at that time when I had to call all the players and coaches up to break that news to him. Turned out he's a diehard Denver Broncos fan. And I broke the news to the players, to my coaches, and my previous coach, Matt Farmer, that, hey, man, I was taking a quality control position at that time with the Denver Broncos. And the rest was history, brother. The rest was history, man.
Listen, I somehow muted my mic, but I was listening and you were like, man, I don't know what I did. And yes, it is God's grace. But man, I want to, and you know this, but I just want to point it out. When you were given the opportunity, you ran to work.
Mm-hmm.
That, man, that's what I don't want people to miss.
Yeah.
There were no excuses. Oh, I don't
Right.
have a way to get here. Yeah. So God was like, you know what? I trust you. Because when I gave you this small opportunity, this is what you did with it. So I know when I give you this big opportunity, I know what you're gonna do with it. Favor, man. Grace and favor. Grace and favor.
Grace and favor, brother.
Listen, let me read this to you, man. Brother Anil, our chapter brother from 1990, is saying this. He says, listen, man, your name was being mentioned in rooms that your feet had not entered yet. Rooms of opportunity, access, and new relationships.
Yeah.
He's on it, man. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth from Brother Anil Smothers, man. All right. So quality control, coach.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that it didn't work out in Denver.
Right.
So things don't work out in Denver.
Yep.
How did Dallas come about?
Okay. So we go to Denver. And so that was a challenge within itself, Mike, because my wife and I had established a great foundation in Texas, right? 2 young people. We got married. We had 2 beautiful kids. Both head coaches, got to the point where we were able to build a beautiful home in Missouri City, Texas. And we took a leap of faith, man, and we sold our home and uprooted and moved to Denver. And I will say this, brother, the National Football League is tough. Not only for families, not only for coaches, but just the high level of expectation that there is for every organization to be perfect. It ain't easy. And naturally, being a new coaching staff, we had high aspirations for success right off the bat. Great coaches, great men in the locker room, great ownership and leadership. And just like so many other organizations, unfortunately for us, it just didn't work out. And oftentimes, owners are given the opportunity to be patient or to make change. And our ownership at the time decided to make change. And what people don't realize, Mike, is, and I brought this up because it goes back to when I was a high school head football coach, and that parent got into a conflict with my wife, or got into an altercation with my wife, and was saying the things that he said. I'll never forget even seeing that as a NFL coach and seeing the things on social media to get rid of this coach and that coach. People don't realize how it affects other families, and how that may negatively impact others. And at the time, right, we were a part of that negative impact. Now, again, God always has a greater plan. But during that time, brother, I will tell you, it was tough. Not only financially, not only emotionally, but spiritually. Why? Because we just made this massive leap of faith. Like, Mike, we left everything. Not only did we leave everything, like my wife, she didn't go out to Denver and go get a job, right? She was a successful high school head volleyball coach and math teacher, and was going into her 12th year as a teacher coach. And we left it all. So financially, we took a step back. But now spiritually, we're asking God, did we make the right decision?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
within that moment, within that glimpse of thinking I was doing the right thing, from a man's standpoint, did I put my family in a challenging situation that we may not be able to get out of? Like, I may have hindered our growth as a family, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, every opportunity, again, it goes back to those relationships, that you have a chance to build relationships with people. You've got to go after them. And so earlier in that year, Mike, the Denver Broncos had the National Football League allows us to be able to practice against other teams prior to a preseason game that you may have with them. Now, you don't have to do that. We don't do that here in Dallas. Not sure what may take place this upcoming season, but we didn't previously. But we did in Denver, okay? And it so happened that that preseason game, we practiced against the Dallas Cowboys, right? So just 2 years ago, Dallas was doing it. And what we did was, maybe like on a Wednesday, Thursday, we had a coaches social. And it was just an opportunity to kind of meet and greet other coaches from the staff that were getting ready to play. And it was a great opportunity to shake some hands and just to meet some guys. And it just so happened that one of the members on staff, or one of the coaches on staff, his name is Lunda Wells. He's our tight ends coach. He's a Southern University graduate, right? Went to Southern, played at Southern. He was there he was there after you. He was there after you, Mike. He was there after you, Mike, but he was there before me. Okay, so we'll let the audience figure out when that was.
Basically, what he's saying is, he not as old as you, but he a little bit older than me. That's basically what he just said. He ain't as old as you, Mike, but he a little bit older than me.
Yeah, yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir, man. So I spent some quality time with him. Had a chance to meet him, had a chance to meet Coach McCarthy, had a Coach Dan Quinn, and that was a wrap, man. And went through the season, building the relationships on staff and things of that nature. And when we got fired as a staff, you kind of get hit with what now? And so, like many other coaches, I'm sure coaches still do it to this day. I looked at my phone and I texted as many guys as I could. I said, hey, coach, if you got an opportunity, if you know of anything, hey, keep me in mind. And it just so happened that the day I hit up Lunda, he called me back and he said, hey, there might be a possibility of an opening here, but if it is, you better be ready. And I will tell you this, Mike, I found a way to be ready. I found a way to be ready. I text him on a Tuesday. Let me paint this picture. I text him on a Tuesday. By Friday, I was in Dallas, Texas. Okay. By Friday, I was in Dallas, Texas. I had my interview on Friday. All right. By Monday, I was at work with the Dallas Cowboys. See, sometimes, Mike, things happen and they happen fast. But the lesson that I've learned from it is to make sure that you are prepared for an opportunity, although that opportunity may not be right here in front of you. Be prepared for it, because when it does happen, you want to make sure that you're ready. Otherwise, it'll pass you by.
If you stay ready,
you won't have to get ready.
Have to get ready.
So I'll never forget, man. I was just so appreciative of the relationships that I built. And never forget the opportunity, man, just to be able to share that with the family that we back to Dallas. Well, coming back to Texas, but coming to Dallas, Texas. And man, no greater team to have an opportunity to coach for, man, than America's team. And I'm here now, brother, back in a full circle and cycle as a servant leader, as an assistant offensive line coach, man. So I'm so appreciative and so thankful.
Man, that is a great story. Listen, I've been joking, this half joking, half serious. Okay. Yeah. Please forgive me, all Dallas Cowboys fans, coaches, and personnel. Y'all, please forgive me. Okay.
I'm about to mute my
I've been talking about the Mavs, the Dallas Mavericks, right? So I'm rooting. I'm a Lakers guy, but I'm rooting for the Mavericks, man, right? And I've noticed, I'm like, man, so if the Mavericks pull this thing off, okay, we're gonna have the Texas Rangers, World Series champs. You still got the Dallas. People keep pointing out that the Dallas Stars are still in this thing too, okay? Yep. So the Dallas Stars are still in it. They got a chance to win. The Mavs win. I'm like, man,
it's only time.
The joke part was the Cowboys don't even have to win to stay relevant. That was the joke part, right? But man, Dallas, Texas has a very real chance to be the center of the professional sports universe.
And let me tell you this, Mike. Our ownership, our leadership, Mr. Jones, Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones Jr., Coach McCarthy, we got a great plan. Will McClay, I mean, it's about to go down, brother. It's great things happen. Great things happen.
I grew up in Louisiana, okay? Yeah. I grew up a Saints fan. Yeah. It's the only pro team we had. Man, I went probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I broke up with them forever. My heart couldn't take it anymore, man. My heart just couldn't take it anymore. And it's like a old relationship. Every now and then, okay, I see him out in public and speak. But other than that, man, my heart just don't belong to the Saints. My heart belongs to no NFL team.
I got you.
But man, for you,
come on.
For you, man, I need the Dallas Cowboys to win.
Yes, sir.
I need the Dallas Cowboys to win for you.
Yes, sir.
Because listen, here's what I know. I don't have to know anybody else in Dallas, Texas to know this. I know you. And I know the kind of man that you are. So they see real, recognize real.
Mm-hmm.
That's the saying.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody real has recognized the real in you. So y'all, listen, man, you watching and listening. Y'all, we rooting for Coach Chinyoung and the Cowboys. All right. That's what we rooting for. That's
Yes.
what we rooting for. So people at home watching, listening, we're rooting for the Cowboys this year. All right,
Yeah.
Chin, we getting ready to pivot, man. We getting ready to pivot. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we're in crunch time. Okay. We're in crunch time. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So in football, this is 2 minute. What is this? 2 minute warning? What is it called? 2 minute what is it?
Yeah, let's go with a 2-minute warning, right? So,
What is the thing called when it's 2 minutes left in the game?
2-minute warning.
2 minute warning. Okay. All right. So in basketball, we call it crunch time. In football,
Okay.
we call it a 2 minute warning. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, man, we're going to go 4 downs. We're going to go 4 downs. We're going to keep it football specific. All right. Here we go, man. Hardest thing about coaching that nobody knows.
That nobody knows. You know, I would say the hardest thing that coaching that nobody knows outside of other fellow coaches is just the time management that you're away from the family. I think a lot of people naturally think that when you coach in the National Football League that, man, it's just, you know, you're around so many successful people, celebrities, you're traveling the world. There's just so much time to have so much fun, not realizing, you know, you spend 16, sometimes 20 hours grinding on tape, grinding on film, creating a plan for the players. That's time away from the family. I'll never forget, Mike, I had a cot under my desk at Denver, sleeping, hoping to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep before it was go time. Folks don't realize the time away from the family. You sometimes think about it, but they don't realize how much time and how much sacrifices that we have to take away from our loved ones.
Listen. So one of the things I didn't ask you this question, you know, because I just kind of, you know, I asked you a bunch of things in your questionnaire, but you mentioned that, you know, it's hard to turn your mind off, you know, when you got to process so much information, right?
Oh yeah.
So okay, so what's the easiest thing about coaching in the professional football league, in the National Football League that nobody knows?
Man, well, one thing I would tell you, there's nothing easy. I would say there's 2 opportunities. Others may seem this is easy. I'll just say there's 2 opportunities for you to take a breather. One is when you are traveling to the game, not necessarily post game, right? Post game, we're grading film. Our minds are actively engaging within the game. But to the game is an opportunity to take a deep breath and to kind of decompress. For some coaches, you get an opportunity to close your eyes. So that, as you may say, could be a easy situation. I wouldn't say, again, the National Football League, there's nothing easy about it. But that, or for me, man, just an opportunity to sit on the bench right before pregame has started. Coaches are walking the field, running in the bleachers, um, getting quiet time within the locker room. But for me, an opportunity, Mike, to just sit on the bench, to breathe, to thank God, to reflect, and just to be still. That for me in that moment is the only easy that I have a chance to experience.
Okay, man, that's good. That's good stuff. Give us you know, like I say, we pulling the curtain back just a little bit to see that. That's good stuff. All right, here we go. 3rd down. If you could be anything other than a coach, what would it be?
Man, I either be a motivational speaker. You know, I can definitely see myself one day standing in front of hundreds of thousands of people and just pouring into them, or I'd be in that weight room, brother. And I know you said if you couldn't be a coach, it would be a strength coach, right? But I'd be in that weight room, man. You know, pouring into the guys hitting that iron. But it would be in some aspect like that.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right. 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down. All right, here we go. 4th down. Tougher job. Who's got the tougher job? Coaches or officials?
That's a tough one right there, brother. I would definitely say I respect officiating. I didn't mention this in my story, and this has nothing to do with it, but just to make you laugh, if you remember way when I used to call some basketball games now,
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm going there next.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going there next.
Hey, now look to the audience, right? Young coach, okay, and you know how it is. You get a stipend, you got a salary, but you got to try to, you need some extra financial income. And a good friend of mine and colleague of mine, Larry Cole, and myself used to go out and call basketball games, and I officiated basketball games, and I will tell you, it wasn't easy. I've had some inverted whistles. But no, to go back to the question, I definitely do. I respect officiating and the level of detail that they have to be so dialed in, so locked in at all times. But man, I tell you what, man, there's nothing like coaching. Coaching is definitely harder. Why? Because not only are you trying to come up with a plan prior to the event taking place, you're trying to strategize on what may happen during the event. The event is the play. You're trying to articulate and process what's happening post play, as well as how can you position your players to be in a position to not allow the officiating crew to negatively affect that play. And so because of that and all the dynamics that a coach has to process and articulate, I would definitely say coaching. But I do respect the work of officials and officiating crews.
No doubt, no doubt. Both groups work hard. I lean towards coaches as well, but tremendous respect for officials, whether they believe me or not. I have tremendous respect for them. I want to ask you this. This is not on the questionnaire. I saw this on Twitter the other day. Why are football play calls so long?
It's just how it is,
like,
man.
Okay, because we get like the mic'd up stuff, and you get to hear the play calls, and I'm like, what?
Well, I mean, football play calls are long because you have so many different moving parts, right? The beginning of the play call is going to define the shifts, the motions, the movement patterns that you're going to put the offensive formation in. And then you've got to give the offensive formation, the final ending formation, and then you dive into the play. And run plays, Mike, everywhere. It was the same in high school football. Typically have a number. The number gives the direction of the play, right? Everybody's different on how they use their numbers, but you have a number, and then you have a scheme. The scheme defines the type of play that you're getting ready to execute. It just so happens in the National Football League, because there's so many different things that may take place, you have plays within a plays. And so I may give a shift, motion, formation, number system, scheme, check within a new numbering system, scheme, check within a kill to a possible new numbering system, scheme. Why? Because football in the National Football League is so advanced. We're playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah, this ain't Madden. This ain't Madden, y'all.
It ain't Madden. You can't just you can't just select and just just hope that X just gets vertical and makes it happen. And so because of that, you have to have a plan for the plan and another contingency plan for that plan. And that's why a lot of people might they do things different ways. You can have a one-word syllable that means a lot of different things, but instead of asking players to memorize that one word to mean so many different things, well, when you want to change one of those elements, now they got to learn a new word. Just feed them the information. And so because of that, quarterbacks have adapted and learned how to spit out information with a sense of urgency and efficiency so that everybody can be on the same page.
Almost like they got a match the way they be spitting those things out. That man, you watch I don't watch all the episodes, but when HBO has the Hard Knocks come on, and then the guys have that dreaded meeting, and they're like, bring your playbook. That's why the playbook be twice as thick as this right here. With all those calls in it, man. That's crazy. Okay, man, that was side That was a sidebar. Now, you already segued into this when you talked about officiating, because we did 4 downs. Now we're going to do 3 in the key. Okay. And I kept it as 3 in the key because there was a time when you used to officiate. So, Coach Chinyoung, give us 3 things that all coaches need. We call this 3 in the key.
I would say all coaches need detail, right? What do I mean by that? You have to be able to plan and be specific within that plan, because the plan is not just for you to be able to understand, but it's for those who you're trying to get to implement the plan and carry out the plan. And so detail is very important for all coaches to have. I would say that's number 1. I would say number 2 would be efficiency, right? Going back to in the National Football League, the amount of time that we have to spend away from our families, well, the way you work through that is to become more efficient at the daily tasks that you are given. And so efficiency is key, right? So I would say detail, efficiency, and then for the last one, Mike, I can only use 3, huh?
The floor is yours.
I would say the last one would be would be passion. This is why, and I know this is a curveball, but this is why, because you have to truly believe as a coach what you're pouring into the people that you are coaching. You have to truly believe in, as a coach, the philosophy, the mission, the vision, the goals that you have, and that speaks through the passion that you may display. Now, passion can be displayed in multiple different ways, right? Passion can be displayed in the level of detail that you use in everything in all of your planning. Passion can be displayed in the energy, right? The positive energy that you give on and off the field, or on and off the court in your case, to the players, right? Passion can be displayed in so many different ways, but I think without passion, it's tough to be able to go to war or to play for a coach who doesn't necessarily believe wholeheartedly in what they're selling to you. Because at the end of the day, we're car salesmen, Mike. Like, at the end of the day, everybody has a philosophy and everybody has a vision on what they're trying to accomplish. And it's called the same thing in different places, and it's called different things in other places, and it means the same, but it's all in how you. And you can't sell something unless you believe in it. And to me, that's passion. That's belief.
That's good stuff right there, man. That's good stuff. That was 3 in the key. 3 things that all coaches need. Listen, you need detail, you need efficiency, and then you need passion.
Yes.
So that everybody will buy what you believe in.
Yes, sir.
That's good stuff, Coach Chinyoung. All right, y'all. We are down to the very last thing of this tremendous episode, right? We've been pouring into people with Coach Chinyoung, assistant offensive line coach of the Dallas Cowboys. My guy, who got it out of the mud.
Out the mud.
Listen, matter of fact, he might have been in the mud too. So not only did he get it out of the mud, what a man, a tremendous story. All right, here we go. One thing, we call this and one. This is one thing, can be anything that you would like to share with those who are watching and listening before we get out of here. So what do you have for and one?
I would say, and I would say first and foremost, man, just believe in yourselves. And what do I mean by that? How do you believe in yourself? Number one, you put in the work when nobody else believes that you should be putting in that work. You create a plan, you implement that plan, you evaluate the plan, and then you re-implement it again. You find ways to motivate and encourage yourself, because ultimately you are your biggest motivator. You find ways to push yourself further, find ways to get out of your comfort zone, because we talked about earlier, while being uncomfortable, that creates growth, and growth creates opportunity. And so I would just tell you, believe in yourself and find ways to do that. And just to add on to that, while believing in yourself, find ways to bring the family and your loved ones along with you. So often when we experience success, we forget those who helped us along the way. Now, sometimes God puts people in our lives in that moment, in that season, and allows us to move forward and move on. But your loved ones who have been with you through thick and thin from start to finish, who are still by your side, find a way for them to experience the success that you have, or find a way for them to experience the trials and tribulations that you're going through and be able to see you push through them. That way they can enjoy the process with you. Man, family, I've learned, Mike, before you naturally took it for granted. Why? Just because I had so much time with my loved ones, with my family, with my wife, with my oldest, and now my youngest. I had time with them. But I never forget, man, the day leaving and being. Let me share this. In 2 years, Mike, I was away from my family for 180 days. In 2 years, I was away from my wife and kids for 180 days. Why? Because when I moved to Denver, they didn't transition right away, right? They had to finish
Yeah.
school. Then we had to find a home. And then when I'm uprooted and moved back to Texas and moved to Dallas, they finished school. We couldn't just uproot. And man, time is so precious and so valuable because it's the only thing that you can't get back. And so I would just say, man, find that wonderful time with your family, even if it's just for a little bit of time, and enjoy it and experience those experiences and spend quality time, man. Just because, hell, I left my son at home, my youngest, with my wife, and he was 3 months old. And I tell you what, man, that was challenges within itself, just because he wasn't used to me being around, right? That father around when
Yeah.
we did reunite. So, man, just hey, believe in yourself and bring the family along. That's my and one, brother.
Man, that's good stuff. I wrote this on my paper here because I've been taking notes the entire time. So, man, you are a master teacher. I don't know if you've ever considered yourself to be that, but your and one was believe in yourself, but you didn't leave it there. You said, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And then you proceeded to give examples of what that may look like. And that's what master teachers do. So,
Appreciate
man, I want to tell you, thank you for
it. Mm-hmm.
leading the way.
Yes,
Because
sir.
not only do you lead with your belief and your passion, you lead by your example. So, man, thank you for your time today, and thank you for being here and blessing all of us on the co-op. Listen, everybody, coaching is a labor of love, in case y'all didn't know that. It's also a labor of sharing. It's more than a job. It is actually a calling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Coach P. I've been your host today, here with my guy, Coach Chinyoung. Listen, y'all, we just pulled the curtain back to give you a peek, to show you what this amazing coach does on a daily basis. Listen, he is not only shaping the world of athletics, he is pouring into people. So listen, we'll be back next week. I got a couple of folks coming on from the high school coaching scene. So y'all make sure y'all tap in with us next week. Until next time, y'all make sure y'all make love the culture.
Peace.